The tragic death of Princess Alice. In the depths of history, in 1843, a radiant being emerged into the world. Princess Alice, a precious jewel born into the majestic realm of the United Kingdom, was bestowed upon Queen Victoria and Prince Albert as their third celestial gift. In the embrace of their royal lineage, Alice joined her esteemed siblings, the illustrious Victoria, Princess Royal, and the future sovereign, the Prince of Wales. Alice had an insatiable thirst for understanding the essence of ordinary lives. She found solace in observing the ebb and flow of humanity. She delighted in the humble existence of the farmers, often venturing to Balmoral with her kin, nurturing her younger siblings and kindling her philanthropic spirit from an early age. Even in the throes of the Crimean War, at the tender age of 11, Alice graced the hospitals, bringing solace to the ailing soldiers. Her compassion only grew from there, in parallel with her own evolution. In the year of 1861, the cruel hand of fate snatched away Alice's beloved grandmother, Victoria, Duchess of Kent, and her beloved father, Prince Albert. These afflictions lingered, relentless and unforgiving, while Alice, the dutiful caregiver of her family, stood resolute at their sides. Queen Victoria, her heart aching, described dear Alice as brimming with boundless tenderness, affection and anguish for her. As Queen Victoria immersed herself in the abyss of mourning, Alice stepped forward, assuming the roles of secretary and representative for her mother alongside her sister Louise. In 1860, the Queen and her eldest daughter, Victoria, Princess Royal, embarked on a quest to find a suitable match for Alice. Though two esteemed royals were initially considered, their allure faded, and in the tapestry of destiny, a minor royal emerged as the chosen one, Prince Louis of Hesse, a nephew of the Grand Duke of Hesse. Queen Victoria embraced this union, and a mutual attraction blossomed between Alice and Louis. Despite the discrepancy in their stations, the match was deemed triumphant, for love often defies the boundaries of rank. The nuptials were conceived a year prior, before the breath of Prince Albert waned, yet the sombre pall of mourning still draped the court as the appointed day arrived, and those that attended were made to wear black attire. The Queen herself rarely emerged, and she was cloaked in seclusion. Nevertheless, the wedding persevered, honouring the desires that Prince Albert would held. On the 1st of July, 1862, within the intimate confines of Osborne House on the Isle of Wight, the couple exchanged vows, witnessed by a select few. Alice, entrusted to the tender guidance of her uncle Ernest, advanced towards her destiny, while Queen Victoria, overwhelmed by memories of her own jubilant past, concealed her emotions behind a screen. The Queen's voice resonated with a mournful timbre, likening the ceremony to a funeral. A fleeting glimpse of the wedding dress adorned Alice before she was made to give it up, swapping it for mourning attire. Alice and Louis, bounded by vows and destiny, embarked upon a new chapter in Darmstadt, nestled within the Grand Duchy of Hesse, beside the flowing Rhine. It was here, amidst a simpler existence, that they settled into an acquainted dwelling by the roadside. Their means were only modest. It was here that she threw herself into charity work and began to study art, and luckily Alice did not mind the drop in status, as she loved her new husband dearly. In the year 1863, the pair went on to have a daughter named Victoria, who drew her first breath in the embrace of England. As fate would have it, the Queen herself stood witness to this miracle, but her discerning eyes swiftly passed judgment upon Alice's desire to nurse her child. Over the next decade, the couple welcomed 6 more children into their family: daughters Irene, Elisabeth, Alix and Marie, and sons Frederick and Ernest. Alice was a mother steeped in devotion, and she balanced her nurturing role with tireless charity endeavours. Her pursuits centred on women causes, and in a remarkable turn of events, she took charge of the state military hospitals during the tumultuous Austro-Prussian War. These were very trying times for Alice, for Hesse aligned itself with Russia in the conflict, while her own sister held the title of Crown Princess of Prussia. The war's conclusion left Hesse bereft of both wealth and land, casting a dark shadow over Alice's cherished kin. It was in the year of 1873 when tragedy struck, which engulfed Alice and Louis in a shroud of despair. Their young son, Frederick, met an untimely demise, and his life was extinguished by a cruel grip of haemophilia, a curse passed down through their bloodline. Frederick's fall from a window proved to be a catalyst, yet it was an unrelenting torrent of blood that stole him away. Alice, consumed by grief, poured her heart into anguish letters addressed to her mother, seeking solace in their bond. But her pleas went unanswered, leaving her stranded in the desolation of her sorrow. Faced with this harrowing loss, Alice sought refuge in her charity work. She channeled her pain into housing reforms and social causes, blazing a trail of change throughout her lifetime. In the years to come, the union between Alice and Louis began to fray as she sought medical treatment in England. Her heart wrestled with a profound sense of isolation, and although their relationship teetered on uncertainty, they were thrust into unforeseen roles when in 1877 Louis ascended to the grandeur of Grand Duke of Hesse and by Rhine, and Alice in turn assumed the mantle of Grand Duchess. These newfound positions, born out of tragedy with the passing of Louis's father and elder brother, ushered them into uncharted territory. Despite the shock, the people of Hesse embraced Alice as their Grand Duchess, providing her with an outlet to pursue her reformist visions. Yet the weight of her responsibilities threatened to engulf her, overwhelming even the staunchest of hearts. Then in the bleak month of November 1878, a sinister force descended upon the Hessian abode, a merciless presence known as diphtheria. It snatched away the joys that had once filled their lives. The illness, which commenced as a common sore throat and fever, swiftly transformed into a remorseless killer. The infection spread like wildfire, catching the family in its grasp, leaving only Elisabeth untouched by its cruelty. Heartbreak struck once more when little Marie, a mere 4 years old, met her tragic end, choked by the merciless claws of fate. In an attempt to console her inconsolable son Ernest, who bore the weight of sorrow upon his young shoulders, Alice tenderly pressed her lips against his, seeking to put an end to his pain. But fate played a cruel game, deceiving all with a facade of wellness. Alice appeared unaffected by the insidious disease, even managing to share a precious moment with her sister Victoria, Princess Royal, who would journey to Darmstadt in early December. A sinister turn of events transpired. Alice herself succumbed to the illness that had stealthily taken hold of her fragile frame. Louis, stricken with despair, relayed the distressing news to Queen Victoria, who in her anguish dispatched her trusted physician, Sir William Jenner, to attend to her ailing daughter. By the 13th, the crushing verdict was delivered to Louis. There was no cure and no glimmer of hope. Alice's imminent demise loomed like an ominous spectre. As the following morning dawned, a chilling parallel part to the calendar. It was the anniversary of Prince Albert's passing, and at the fateful hour of 8:30 a.m., Alice departed this world, with her final words whispering, "Dear Papa." After her death, the Prime Minister at the time, Disraeli, spoke of the profound tragedy that befell Alice, drawing tears from the audience. "My lords," he began, his voice laden with sorrow. Her physicians, in their wisdom, had strictly forbidden any physical contact with her suffering family. Alice, ever the epitome of self-restraint, dutifully adhered to her instructions. However, when she broke the news of her youngest daughter's death to her beloved son, who clung to the cherished memory of his sister, overwhelmed with grief, the distraught mother clasped her child in her arms, sealing her own fate with a kiss of death. My lords, I can scarcely recall a more poignant moment. Queen Victoria, in a letter to her eldest daughter, poured out her anguished soul. "My precious child, who stood by me and offered solace 17 years ago on this very day, has been taken from us by a fearful, dreadful disease." Her daughter, in response, penned her despair. "Darling Alice, is it truly the case, so good and dear, enchanting and lovely, indispensable to her husband and children, universally adored and admired? I cannot comprehend it. The agony is too overwhelming, too cruel, too unfathomable. Princess Victoria, trapped by the dictates of her in-laws, was forbidden from attending her sister's funeral, lest she too fall victim to the ravages of illness. For the grieving queen, the burden became unbearable, a daughter lost on the anniversary of her husband's passing. The newspapers overflowed with heartfelt messages of support and affection for Alice, who had forever been a princess of the people, treating all with utmost kindness. Even her sister-in-law, the Princess of Wales, formerly Alexandra of Denmark, who cherished her deeply, uttered the words of anguish, "I wish it had been me who perished instead of her." Alice found her final resting place in Darmstadt, where a monumental tribute still stands, commemorating her and her little Marie. Her mark on the world remained, through her extraordinary charitable endeavours, the institutions she founded, including women's training services and the Alice Hospital in Darmstadt, carrying forward her noble mission. In a tragic twist of fate, Alice's untimely demise shielded her from her further anguish. She was spared the witnessing of the heart-wrenching fate that awaited her daughters, Alix and Elisabeth, as they married into the Russian royal family, only to suffer cruel fates and meet their tragic ends, along with Alix's children, at the hands of the Bolsheviks in 1918. Nonetheless, Alix's lineage endures to this day, with her great-grandson, Prince Philip, and her great-great-grandson, Charles, who recently became king. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.